Gentlemen, this is Addis News Hour with the news. I'm Shifarao Lakam. Do stay with us. Now, a forum on the World Interfaith Harmony Week kicked off yesterday in Addis Ababa at the AU. The forum dwelt on the role of religious communities in Africa in advancing peace, human dignity, and preservation of the environment, among other things. Tigster Nisa has the following story.
A forum organized by the Inter-Religious Council of Ethiopia in partnership with the G20 Interfaith Forum and United Religions Initiative Africa was held on Tuesday. The event brings together around 350 participants, including religious, spiritual and traditional leaders, policy makers, diplomatic communities, government officials, representatives from the African Union, UN agencies, youth and women associations, artists, scholars, students and various NGOs. In her virtually delivered remarks, President Sahle-Work Zewde said religions have a crucial role in enhancing peace, unity and forbearance among people. She stressed need to harness the potential of religions in building good-mannered generation.
Religions play an indispensable role in fostering values such as honesty, integrity, peace, love, openness, truthworthiness, empathy, humility, forthrightness, tolerance, to name but a few. Such values are crucial for any given country's economic development and social progress. But in spite of such values, human beings are far from being good examples. The role of religion in Africa is not to be underestimated. It remains at the center of all aspects of society. Experience has shown that people listen more to their religious leaders than their political leaders. Their role is therefore fundamental. Their teachings shape their communities.
Qasiis Taagaay Taaddala, Secretary General of the Inter-Religious Council of Ethiopia, delivered keynote speech on the event.
It is very significant to celebrate the World Interfaith Harmony event here in Ethiopia, as Ethiopia is a land of interfaith harmony since time immemorial. In the early year of Islam, when Muslims were persecuted and tortured in the city of Mecca, Prophet Muhammad sent approx 80 people, including one of his own daughters, to Ethiopia, where there was a Christian king, and he welcomed them with an open arms. This episode represents a legacy of the interreligious harmony and freedom of religions in Ethiopia.
Representatives from Orthodox Church called on the faithful during the event that human race dignity need to be restored.
The Church today would love to call on the faithful on the restoration of human race's dignity. This time has to be the time to pay huge respect to humanity.
Haji Ibrahim Tufa, for his part, wished that may Allah help all humanity sustain love and unity.
Every challenges we faced, knowingly or unknowingly, whether it came from sky or hell, may Allah protect us from all. May Allah grant Ethiopia and the entire world peace. May Allah strengthen our love and unity.
The one-day interfaith event aims at fostering mutual understanding and cooperation among peoples of diverse religions, spiritual expressions, and indigenous traditions. Recognizing the importance of interfaith dialogue, the event was held in commemoration of World Interfaith Harmony Week.
Now turning our attention to the victory of Adwa. The victory of Adwa, the defeat of the Italian forces by Ethiopian patriots in 1896, has become a uniting force for Black Africans who were desperate and disintegrated. The unique turning point in the world history, which was manifested in the demise of white supremacy over the Black, remains to be a defining moment for all. And its unifying power among all the diaspora is also one of the major galvanizing moments across the world. Daniel Kasaun has more on that.
The defeat of the Italian forces by Ethiopian patriots at the Battle of Adwa on March 1st, 1896 became a mountain of pride and inspiration to millions who cherish black heritage. The Ethiopian victory at the Battle of Adwa symbolized the possibility of future emancipation to the use of the bravery of Ethiopian forces manifested at the Battle of Adwa to create awareness and motivate their followers to fight and stand in solidarity against foreign domination. The historic movement is unifying power among all the diaspora, is one of the major galvanizing movements across the world.
You see, Adwa, I know for sure that it's being celebrated in places like Harlem, Chicago, a whole lot of cities in the United States where the black population is big and where that black population has a real organic link with with Africa. They celebrate this day, this victorious day that I told you about. And then also it's a very important source for organizing black folks in the form of Pan-African conferences, like all the Pan-African conferences and congresses that took place started 4 years after the victory of the Battle of Adwa.
The Battle of Adwa also secured united Ethiopia's stewardship for Africa's future independence. As a result, it could be said that the modern era for Africa's sovereignty started with victory at the Battle of Adwa. The importance of the Battle of Adwa that once gave hope to colonized people of the world is in the process of being revitalized. A spark of life has been ignited.
It is a kind of event that will always be used to make sure that you will be a person who live free and then who can do anything that you want, that you have a stage in world platform where you could also be represented. There will be a place for you, you see. So therefore Adwa in lots of ways really means a lot, not just simply to us or to Africans, but to the entire world.
Now the whole black people need to strengthen their unity to benefit a lot from the Ethiopian and African victory against European colonizers.
Now we will still dwell on the victory of Adwa, and to tell us more in this regard, I'm joined here in the studio by Mr. Asnaga Sisay. He's African and Middle East Studies and research expert and author. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you, Shifarel. Thank you.
Absolutely. So let's first of all dwell on the significance of this landslide victory of Adwa. So how significant has the victory of Adwa been, especially in the fight against, foreign aggressions, colonialism, things like that?
Yeah, that's a miracle, and that's the Adwa victory is the Ethiopian victory, but it's working for the Africans, the Afro-Caribbeans, and African Americans, and all the black communities and black struggle supporters, white people and organizations. This Adwa victory is a great achievement for all this community, and the main group is Ethiopians, especially the leader, the command of Emperor Minilik and Queen Taitu, and they are the major part of the Adwa victory, and also their generals as well. After all, the Ethiopian people were united, and from all sides of Ethiopia, they collect their armaments and their logistics, and they went through together on the battlefield, and they finished in 5 hours that battle. That was a very wise leader of Minilik. The credit is Minilik, yeah. And also we think always about we defeat Italians, but the Adwa victory is more than defeat Italians. It is defeating and crushed the Berlin Conference constitution and many policies, because that's the base. African scramble is started from Berlin Conference, and the Ethiopians gave to Italians. So the Italians came to invade Ethiopia, so based on Berlin Conference. So we demolish the Berlin Conference constitution. That's why all this Berlin Conference is established by 14 countries, 1 America and 13 European countries, and took measure by Otto, Chancellor Otto, the German Chancellor. So all these 14 countries doesn't like it because we smashed down that constitution. But we knew always we are talking about the Italians, but the Ethiopian has crucially defeated the Berlin Conference. Wow. That 14 superpower countries. And these 14 superpower countries, until now, they are hunting the Ethiopians. They destabilize Ethiopia in many ways. They gave us the constitution for us. That's why it's destabilized Ethiopia until now. They don't need a peace in Ethiopia. They don't need development in Ethiopia. They create money problems for us. That's the main thing because of the Adwa victory. Wow. And the Adwa victory is still shining with all the black community. It's owned by the world and the military system, the military science, the military sciences given by the Americans, then the Britain and most of the European countries as a military science, just like that, yeah. Absolutely, indeed, the victory of Adwa is the beacon of hope for the black. Thank you so much for that wonderful idea. Thank you so much. Absolutely. Yeah.
The song is called Adwa. Adwa is the name of a battlefield in Ethiopia where Ethiopians withstood European colonial conquest for the first time in Africa against Mussolini, not those old good Italians. Man is precious, precious to be man. Man has died to save man, respecting man. The calling of sacrifice of love and honor. With honor, one dies for the other. My freedom today paid in much blood and bone. Let Adwa speak, let my country speak, how I stand before you today. In pride and honor, in happiness and love. My praise to be to them, to the martyrs of Adwa, who paid their lives for my freedom. Adwa is a victory of all black people, a victory that inspired a lot of freedom fighters.
Welcome back. We're still staying on the victory of Adwa, and Ethiopian women had played unprecedented role at the Battle of Adwa to protect the nation against the Italian aggression. In this regard, motivational speakers and historians say women have contributed immense roles to secure the victory of Adwa. Habtamo Shagri has more on that.
The Battle of Adwa was the climactic battle between Ethiopia and Italy. The Ethiopian troops defeated the Italian invading force on Sunday, 1st March 1896.
Before
Talking to TV, Fitsum Kidana Mariam Atnafawork and Ababawa Yale, who is a motivational speaker and historian respectively, said Ethiopian women had played an immense contribution in the Battle of Adwa. Ethiopian Empress Taitu Butul has brought speechless war tactic for those Ethiopian fighters to abolish the Italian invaders to secure the first black victory throughout the history of the globe.
Empress Taitu, with her 6,000 troops, followed the soldiers and then they joined the battle. During the battle, their role was feeding the soldiers, taking care of the wounded soldiers, not only Ethiopians, but the Italians. That was a strategic move that she did, and that became the defeat for the Italians.
Women did several things. So what comes always up front is the contribution of Taitu. Yes, that's exemplary, of course, and it's worth mentioning always. Taitu was in charge of, the logistics.
In addition to providing food and potable water, Ethiopian women had participated in the battlefields as the freedom fighter, it was indicated. Ababa underscored Empress Taitu has been managed all logistic supports to Ethiopian troops by managing various socio-economic calamities across the country.
About 3 or 4 years before the Battle of Adwa, the Ethiopian region, particularly northern and central Ethiopia, was hit by several natural calamities. There was first a render pest that completely, wiped out cattle. So the absence of cattle means there was no any kind of farming. So that brought about famine. That was followed by a drought, which exacerbated the famine also. And there was also a locust trade. So all these things impoverished most of the people, particularly the peasantry in central and northern Ethiopia. So when Menelik, as well as the rest of the prominent nobility of Ethiopia by then, was thinking about the campaign to Adwa, what worried them more than anything was what should be our food supply. So Taitu took that in charge. So food items were gathered from different parts of Ethiopia, particularly southwestern, southern Ethiopia, which was not highly affected by the drought, the famine. And it was gathered in Addis. It has to be transported all the way to Adwa, Warrailu, Mekelle, and other places. So Taitu organized a team which is in charge of this, and she did a miraculous job in terms of that.
Empress Taitu was leading other women too who joined the soldier. Back then, it was said like more than 100 who were singing, who were fighting, who were feeding, who were treating the wounds. So they were everything. They were doing everything for the for the war. So they were the energy for the soldiers. So their contribution is magnificent.
Praising bravery fighters, treating wounded Ethiopian soldiers, singing, among others, are the key activities to encourage Ethiopian fighters in the battlefield, she underscored. Ethiopia is undertaking preparations to observe the 127th victory of Adwa in various assaultments across the country.
Well, dear viewers, let's now turn our attention to trending stories over the past 24 hours. In this regard, I'm joined by my friend Goshu Maliso. He's going to share with us some of the things that he observed. Goshu, thanks so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me, Shpeen.
Now, let's start our discussion with Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed. He has given recognition to outstanding students, to high achieving students. What more can you tell me about that?
Yeah, yesterday evening, Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed has given recognition for and gave an award for higher achieving students in the 2022 grade 12's national leaving exam. So 273 best achieving students in the previous grade 12 national exit received an award from the Prime Minister, and during the event or the recognition ceremony, Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed remarked that outstanding students, after congratulating the students, he said 273 of them are prospects who can serve and benefit Ethiopia. So the Premier also commended the students to help Ethiopia and Africa at large after they complete their studies in the most modern universities where they are going to deploy. So the Premier also urged the students to focus on their dreams and study hard, reminding them to hold their country closer to their heart. He called on every student to seek wisdom and work in order to change the country. Specifically, a student who stands for the truth will change the country tomorrow, he said on the recognition ceremony. He said, hard work pays, Then that's why these students received an award from the Premier. And finally, the Premier assured that the United Arab Emirates government has given full scholarships for 273 Ethiopian students.
Wow.
And Professor Branu Nagga, the Minister of Education, were also part of the event. And the education reform commenced by the government, and the Ministry of Education is to ensure the effectiveness of exams. Moreover, we will strive to bridge the gaps in education in all aspects, as well as create qualified students and strong citizens, he said on the event. So what does it mean, the recognition for students? I think it inspires those students who are learning in lower grade and who are attending their studies in various fields. So this will inspire students, and the recognition is very important for students. That is said in the event. So the other thing is my second trending story is that the preparations of the celebration of Adwa victory, the 127th Adwa victories, Ethiopia is just get ready to celebrate the 127th anniversary of Adwa victory. That is, the victory is not the outcome of the fight. The victory is the outcome of a battle fought against the invading Italian colonial army on March 1896 under the wise leadership of the Menelik and Menelik II and Empress Taitu. So there were differences among the local governors and administrators, but they responded to the call of Emperor Menelik and headed to the war front, and they achieved the goal without any ethnic difference, without any religious difference. They headed to the war front and achieved the victory, and because it's a symbol of unity.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so the victory was not only defeating the heavily armed Italian forces, it was a fight. It was a fight for human dignity, because colonizers come to humiliate or to colonize or to prolong their slavery, modern slavery on black people. So this victory symbolizes unity and emblem of freedom for the black people across the globe. So Ethiopia has finalized preparations to mark the 127th Adwa victory with various assortments. According to the government sources, government officials will put wreaths of flowers near Emperor Menelik's statue in the morning, and there will be a walk event to Adwa Bridge. The bigger portion of the event is organized at Meskel Square. At Meskel Square, there will be military parade. Fighter jets will fly high at the Addis Ababa sky, and the Ethiopian Defense Force is in charge of the Adwa victory celebration starting this year. So yesterday, photo exhibition was launched in Defense Force, and an exhibition was launched yesterday by the Defense Force featuring the history and the victory of Adwa. So this is all from me.
Okay, Goshu, thanks so much for that update.
Pleasure.
Welcome back. You're still watching Addis News Hour. Now, the Ministry of Defense, along with the Ministry of Culture and Sports, has announced that extensive preparations has been made to colorfully celebrate the Adwa victory, befitting its greatness. This came in here at the Adwa Victory exhibition the Ministry of Defense has organized. Kason Chane reports.
Adwa symbolizes the start of white colonialism's demise in Africa. The Ethiopians, under the leadership of Emperor Menelik II, achieved a significant victory over the Italian colonial force on March 1, 1896, which changed the course of world history. The Adwa victory was an inspiration and source of hope for the rest of colonial era Africa and oppressed black people. Cognizant the fact that the Ministry of Defense, along with the Ministry of Culture and Sports, has officially opened an exhibition that depicts the victory of Adwa and the presence of the Minister of Culture and Sports, Kajala Mardasa, the State Minister of Defense, Marta Luigi, and senior officers and leaders of the army. During the occasion, renowned historians said that organizing such initiative by the Ministry of Defense is an astonishing event.
In this exhibition, what you see is literally a specific narrative. It tells the story of the Battle of Adwa, how the battle was fought and won. So it's a story. It's like basically having a book. It is just more in a kind of image-centered way that we try to share this with the people, with our people. Okay, so it tells the story because the Battle of Adwa was not just a singular event in one place. It was a kind of a long struggle from, I think, from the time that the Italians decided to colonize our region to the time that we were able to defeat them in 1888 Ethiopian calendar or 1896 European calendar. Just because that we go through some hardships, that doesn't take away the victory. I say, the ones who fought and were able to be victorious they are the beautiful ones. They will always remain the beautiful ones. Why are they the beautiful ones? Because they preserved our independence, our freedom. They also showed us that in time of difficulty.
Really, this is the shining history for black people of the world, particularly for the Africans and especially for Ethiopians. Is a great symbol of unity, is a great symbol of fighting for freedom, is a great symbol of commitment, is a great symbol of unity, not only by idea, but also by mixing the blood and the flesh of the nation and nationality of Ethiopia.
Temasgen Johannes, a military history study advisor with the Armed Forces, added that the exhibition is important and it honors the Golden Father's sacrifice made during the Adwa battle.
The military, the Ethiopian army, should learn from its own history. Adwa is our military history and our military victory. So the contemporary Ethiopian army should learn from Adwa. What its cause was and what the significance it has and what an impact it has made on the Ethiopian army. The Ethiopian army should learn from that. Second, as you see on the emblem of the celebration, Adwa is the victory of the celebration of courage, perseverance, So the Ethiopian people has a strong support to the Ethiopian army during the battle of Adwa. Without the people's participation, the victory was an impossible effort. To the people that without you, we are nothing.
It was noted that stories of Ethiopian heroes who led the war, photos, samples of weapons, and literature related to Adwa were also displayed. The exhibition will last until February 25, 2015, Ethiopian calendar.
And with that, we come to the end of today's news. Thank you so much for joining us. Bye-bye.